The first category is what we would call investables, which are more like, if you're into stocks, sort of more like your blue chip. So they're companies that have been around for a while, they're safe, they've got large communities, and they're projects that have been around, they're going to see the test of time. We're talking companies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, probably Ripple, things like that, and there's others there as well. They're large companies that have been around for a long time, and you know that probably the return you're going to get on that is probably not as high as some of the next type of coins, but they're really strong and stable coins. And whether they go up or down, they're not going anywhere. So that's the first category. And there's not very many of those. I would say there's probably up to 20 maybe inside of crypto at the moment. Out of over 30,000 plus coins, there's probably only 20 of those. So there's not a lot. So the next category I would say is more growth coins. So they have been around a while, but they have probably that potential for a little bit more growth at the end of the year. So where Bitcoin might go up, and I'm guessing here because everything's a guess.
You're
no
right.
Financial advice.
No financial advice being given.
No financial advice at all. So Bitcoin has the potential, and a lot of industry experts are saying anywhere between 100 to 200 or 300% on this run from where it is at the moment, depending on what happens. Whereas some of these growth coins might have the opportunity to do 3 to 5 or 600%.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. My name is Tiffany Alexander, and you are with us. We are doing our podcast today. It's Unveiling Journeys. And as you guys know, I have always an amazing guest, and the power of referral is how we met. I cannot shout to the rooftops enough about you just asking everybody that you know, who do you know that I need to know in my life? And when I started asking people that, I started meeting some of the most incredible people I've ever met in my life. And this show is dedicated to you being introduced to those people. And Darren is one of them. And I get to share his story. He gets to share it with you. We get to unveil his journey today, and you get to learn a little bit more about him. Interestingly enough, we met through Scott, who does the My Most Trusted thing. And we can tell a tiny bit about that. But let's get started. I want everybody to know you and get to know you. So let's get rolling. Darren, tell us who you are and where you're at.
Okay, let me give you the short story. So I live in Australia. Obviously, you can hear by my accent. I was born in a little country town of about 6,000 people, really good at sport. At 16, I moved from the country to the city of Adelaide. If you haven't heard of Adelaide, it's in the southern point of Australia, or pretty close to the southern middle. And I spent about 7 years playing professional football. That's Australian rules football. And then at 21, I started my first business. I'm 55 now. So for the last 34 years, I've been a small business owner working as an entrepreneur and in multiple fields. I'm really passionate about helping small business owners to be able to get started. If you look at any country, business is really the lifeblood of any country. The last few years, the last 10, 11 years, had a software company, but most importantly at the moment, I'm with this fantastic company called Wealth99, where I'm helping people take them on their digital asset journey. I'm involved in a project called Daxi Chain, which is really going to change the world in how we bring venture capital and crowdfunding to help raise funds for a small business.
I have a lot of questions, and we get to unpack so much of that because you blazed right past it. And you said your company's Wealth99, and you help people specialize in digital wealth. Unpack that a little bit.
Fantastic. So I'm not the owner. I'm just a specialist inside of Wealth99. So what we do is that, as most people have heard of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is probably the largest digital asset out on the planet at the moment. So it's a cryptocurrency. So Wealth99 is very different to most places where you can go buy crypto. In Australia, there's about 400 plus places you can buy crypto. In America, there's probably thousands. And so we're very different. We work with those who want to add funds to their retirement accounts, like their self-managed super fund and things like that, or purely investors. And our platform's set up solely to help those investors so that, one, they've got security, high security. We don't allow withdrawals off our platform, which eliminate the opportunity for people to be able to log into your account or hack into your account and withdraw it. So for scams, you get support. In Australia, there's no other company that I know of where you can literally have a chat like this to somebody and to be able to get personal support. So we've got that security, that support, and we only provide the assets on our platform that are really what we would call blue chip assets to be able to help people in their digital assets to their portfolio for retirement.
Oh, man. So when they get to you, by the time they find you, they're going to be able to be in an account that's secure, and they're going to be only potentially staring at assets that you guys have vetted out for them to make sure that they're staring at really what it is they need. And then they're getting custom curated advice. Would you call it advice that you're sitting down with everybody to assess their portfolio?
We're not allowed to give advice, so
Oh,
I would
okay.
call it more education. Yeah,
Okay.
so I'm not allowed to give advice, but I think education is more important than advice because
Mm.
it's a bit like the old adage, give a man a fish or give a lady a fish, you can have a feed for the day. Teach a man or a woman how to fish and you can feed for a lifetime. And I think education is a bit like that. So if you can teach somebody about, the asset class that they're investing in, that they will then make better choices instead of just going down to the local hotel, pub, whatever it may be, and going, hey, here's the next Bitcoin,
Mm.
when more likely it's a scam. So we
Yeah.
want education is a really important part of Wealth 99 and being able to help people take them on that journey. If they have no education, we provide that, that regular journey of being able to teach them so that they can learn.
I love that. Let's go to the very beginning of all of this. How and what does that look like? You started right out of high school and you started where? Like, what is this whole journey for you? And let's go down that long road.
Wow. Okay. High school. At 12 years old, I wanted to be a chef. Would you believe? I wanted to be a chef. I did everything. I was the only boy in home economics at school, doing sewing and all that because you had to do sewing if you wanted to cook.
Yeah.
And when I went and did work experience as a chef, I wanted to be a chef. And then I got a job as a 16-year-old apprentice in a restaurant in probably the largest chain of 10 restaurants in Adelaide and working at one of a really high-profile restaurant. So I was there for about 6 months, but the football club, so because I was good at football and I came down from the country and they actually helped me get that job. And then within 6 months, because think about it, when you're supposed to be training is the time that you're supposed to be working to serve other people their food. So consequently, football was going, no, sorry, you can't do this job anymore. We got you down here to play football. So at 16, and after 4 years of wanting to be a chef, my journey was cut short really, really fast. So then at 16 and 17, I was like, what am I going to do now? So I had a few different jobs I went into. Eventually, I was working in marketing at the football club for about 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a few $1 million budget that we had to raise. So I was working as the marketing assistant with an amazing marketing guy called Vic Wood, who actually lives in America now. I think he's into NASCAR and all that, but he was an amazing guy to learn from. And then at one, I was like, what am I going to do? So then I started a gardening service. I was with the largest franchise group now in Australia. So I think I was number 3 at the time. Spent a couple of years doing that, then started my own, worked in commercial. And then in 3, when I had my first, or I should say my ex-wife had my first son, everything changed. I was working 80, 90 hours out of work, out of the home, and I wanted to be at home for my son. So then I started looking at opportunities to work online and met. Interesting journey there. It's funny how you meet people. So it was actually an Eminem song that sent me off on my journey,
Yeah.
as
He was
it does.
popular back in early
He's very
2000s,
popular.
right?
Yeah, it was 2002, and it was like New Year's Eve, and
Yeah.
I was at work on New Year's Eve of all times. This Eminem song come on my radio as I was cleaning out. And, back then there was no real way to get rid of spam, and so it's like 5 or 10 spam to one good email, and I'm just delete as the song comes on the radio, and the words go, if you had one shot or
Yeah.
one opportunity to have everything you've ever wanted, would you capture it or would you let it slip? And I'm just about to delete an email. I thought, whoa, that's pretty profound.
Mm.
Anyway, that email led me to a guy in San Francisco, which led me to another guy over in Florida, which led me to a guy in South Africa. And then that opened up my world to, at one stage, Colin was his name. He had a private investment group. You're doing property, but he was doing sort of different investment.
Mm,
So he had clients from over 104 countries, about 50,000 clients in 104 countries, and just that was the center for me to start to go, wow, the world is really different than what I thought it was.
right.
Which then led me on to a few other things, which led me to a software company, which led me to then Wealth 99.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more
So
about that
different journey.
transition from, well, I mean, really marketing to financial aspect. Did you have to get licenses? Like, what was that like?
Right now in the world, crypto, you don't have to have a financial services license in Australia
Nice.
anyway,
Yeah.
but you will, because it's one of those products that, and more financial planners or financial advisors, once they come in, well, then they'll be added to ETFs and things like that, which then financial advisors will be able to then advise on. But right now, you don't need a financial services license in Australia. I'm not sure what it's like in America. I don't think you do in America either at the moment.
There's like things you
Yeah,
do and things you don't, right?
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really passionate because blockchain, when we were with the software company, we were programming and did a few projects with the blockchain. And I
Yeah.
could see how that database and how that software could help change the world and make everything more transparent. And it really interested me, and then learn about Bitcoin and how that works, and how we don't need to have a third person or third party in the middle to be able to transact. And I thought that sort of opens up the world to really a lot more freedom for humanity, in a way that you don't need to have somebody controlling you to be able to do a transaction or be involved in anything that you do moving forward. You have a software that can, in a simple way, do that transaction for you. So I
Mm-hmm.
really got interested in that probably 2016. That's where it really started. That was where the journey for crypto started. 2014 software, 2016 crypto, and then we started, not long after that, we did a few projects where we were coding. And then from there, the further on the crypto journey, the more I go, well, when you look back, Bitcoin has outperformed every other asset class on the planet for the last 15 years.
Right.
And why not, be able to have a little bit of that in your portfolio for whatever reason, to be able to, make your portfolio look a little bit fatter at the end of the day.
Right. Hey, you
Yeah.
started this in 2016. How much Bitcoin did you get? What was the lowest price you got in at?
Lowest price I got in it was 210, something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Ethereum was $5.
Nobody's jealous at all right now. People, if you knew what you knew, right? But that's the cool part, is that
Yeah.
the conversations we've been having for a couple of months, you are in on a massive project, and that, well, we'll transition into that. Just knowing that if you could see the work behind the legitimate coins that are being put out and the projects that are behind them, really would put some people's brain just in a whirlwind. Like, just even, for example, you saying, hey, it's on the blockchain. We've already lost some people with that. Like, the key thing that you need to know is that Darren's somebody that you need to know. Now, one caveat to this is that he doesn't take US money, which is fine. I do know a lot of Australians at this point that I'm growing to know, and all over the world. Tell us a little bit more about some of the projects you're excited to get into right now.
Fantastic. Well, obviously, I'm really liking the project, the other part of Wealth 99, which is the Daxi Chain project. Yes, I feel like, can I step back a little bit first,
Okay, go
just
ahead.
to
Go ahead.
do an explanation? Because if there's people on here and they don't know what even crypto or anything like that is about, and the types of crypto that are out there, and what to look for and what not to look for, before we go into that, if you're okay with that. So
Absolutely. You're the education guy. You better be willing to go into that.
I want to break crypto or in down into four categories. Okay, so I think the first category is what we would call investables, which are more like, if you're into stocks, sort of more like your blue chip. So they're companies that have been around for a while. They're safe. They've got large communities, and they're projects that have been around. They're going to see the test of time. We're talking companies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, probably Ripple, things like that. And there's others there as well. They're large companies that have been around for a long time, and you know that probably the return you're going to get on that is probably not as high as some of the next type of coins, but they're really strong and stable coins. And whether they go up or down, they're not going anywhere. So that's the first category. And there's not very many of those. I would say there's probably up to 20 maybe inside of crypto at the moment. Out of over 30,000 plus coins, there's probably only 20 of those. So there's not a lot. So the next category I would say is more growth coins. So they have been around a while, but they have probably that potential for a little bit more growth at the end of the year. So where Bitcoin might go up, and I'm guessing here because everything's a guess.
You're
No
right.
financial advice.
No financial advice being given
No
today.
financial advice at all. So Bitcoin has the potential, and a lot of industry experts are saying anywhere between 100 to 200 or 300% on this run from where it is at the moment, depending on what happens. Whereas some of these growth coins might have the opportunity to do 3 to 5 or 600%. So they're a little bit more growth. They've still been around a long time, but they just got the potential for a little bit more growth. Whether that happens or not, no one knows, but that's sort of the second category. The third category is what I would classify as a moon coin. They have the opportunity to go to the moon, but they also have the opportunity to come back from the moon. So lots of upside. There's lots of coins that have done, they've 100 times, 1,000 times their money, but then they've come straight back down again as well.
Right.
All right. So they're very risky, high risky. But then inside of that category from 4 years ago was a coin called Solana, which is now the sixth top coin out of all cryptos now. So some have gone to the moon and stayed there and have become an investable coin. So, but there's not very many of those, more higher risk. Okay. And then the fourth type I just call garbage coins because they're not really, they had no value.
That's what everybody calls them, garbage coins,
yeah,
right?
they're garbage coins. So they don't really have a use case. A lot of the meme coins I would classify into that. A bit like a Ponzi scheme, a lot of them. Someone's going to land with it, and if you're investing for the future, why would you want to invest into something which has the potential for the whole project to either go down or you're going to land with a coin that's going to be right at the bottom of the pile and someone else has made money on you, a bit like a Ponzi scheme. So
we don't want that.
Not to say that they are. I just want to make it clear.
You just don't know
unless
you've done your homework.
That's exactly right. And we've seen a number of those in the last month where
I've seen some,
and
and that would just be more than a few minutes of research, right? So if somebody just gets, I don't know, they hear a name dropped at a coffee shop and they don't punch it in to see how many people are trading it, is there like a stable number of like, oh man, this much volume? Like back in the day when I trade penny stocks, I still had like a minimum threshold of like a couple 100,000, which is very low for stocks that was being traded daily. It wasn't just like I bought 100 shares. Well, that was the only shares traded for the day. That's very risky.
Yeah, you need to have that liquidity. If you're going to play that game, you need to have the liquidity. It needs to be liquidity to be able to sell. But my philosophy now is why even get into that game unless you like playing? Well, there's three types of investors too. You've got the trader, someone who likes to trade for a living, whether that be stocks, bonds, or it could be crypto. You have the gambler, which is that was what I would call gambling. It's very high risk. You don't know what you're going to do and what you're going to receive, or if your money's going to be intact at the end. And then you've got the investor, someone who has that long-term mentality, is taking all the tax options that are available to you. Like in Australia, we pay capital gains tax on profits. And if you hold it more than a year, you get 50% of that capital gains tax free in Australia if you hold it for more than a year. So why wouldn't you take advantage of getting 50% of your tax free, of your gain free? So that's more of that, investor mindset that you need to have, three different mindsets. And I would classify a lot of that in a lot of those meme coins and that into that gambler mentality. You're looking for the quick buck. And so when I first started, I was looking at those back in 2016, 17. But now, don't even waste my time on them. Is there opportunity for some good gains? Great. But you need to be on the inside because there's a lot of what they call pumps, push them up, and then dumps because they sell it up there and push it down. And then someone ends up with the coin. And I don't think that's good for your portfolio. But totally up to you what your risk, where your risk is, investor, gambler, trader, depends on what you're doing.
I have a question for you because this is a lot of information and this is a lot of upkeep, a lot of work. You're doing a lot of homework all the time. Why would you go do all this homework? Like, why is keeping on top of all of this so important to you?
I like giving back to humanity is really important to me, like teaching and giving back. So there's a couple of things I'm passionate about. One, that's training. Two is small business. Being a small business owner for In Australia, they classify you're a small business owner unless even having a business up to over $10 million. No, sorry, it's higher than that. I think it's $50 million. They classify it as a small business still in Australia. 80% of Australia is run on small business. And I'm really passionate about helping small business and being able to, because we need it. That's where the jobs come from. It's not from the government. It's not from large, as much as large business provide, a lot of employees. At the end of the day, humanity is driven by small business, and small business's ability to be able to go and employ. And that's what really runs a country. Really, having been a small business owner, really passionate about helping other small business owners at the end of the day. So that one gets me up, and two, being able to educate and be able to make a difference at the end of the day. Like you and I have met each other. We've introduced to each other to other people. I really get a kick out of getting two people together and be able to see them do business. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You've introduced me to some cool people. And I know whenever I imagine like, oh my gosh, you're the ideal client for Darren, I'm going to send people directly over to you. And that's what I want. I want these people that are able to come on the show with me, that people watch this and they realize, hey, I'm your ideal client. Like, I need to know Darren. And that's really what we get to, is like, come friend us on LinkedIn and come and see who it is. Like, what do you need to level up your business? What do you need to level up your finances or your life in general? I want to make sure I'm connecting everybody into this weave or spider web, I guess, of people. And you're one of those people that I want to send people to. Who would you say are like the ideal client or the people that you know that you could help the best?
Who could I help the best? Obviously, we're looking to work with sort of professionals and investors, but I've got a plethora of people in my network. So it's not necessarily who's the right person. It's like, come and join me on My Most Trusted, or come and connect with me on LinkedIn, and come and search my database. If there's someone on there that I can connect you with, who is your ideal client or your ideal referral partner, reach out and I'll connect you. Yeah. So
right.
I think it's really hard to say anyone in particular, because I help
everyone
so
many
across the board. Yeah, I don't. Yeah. It's not necessarily from my industry. So I always think if you do the right thing,
everybody can find you.
LinkedIn's probably the best way. So if you just go to LinkedIn and search my name, well, obviously you have the details below. Come and search me, reach out, and let's connect and see how we might be able to add some value, or if we've got some synergy, be able to help each other.
Absolutely. I think between you, me, Scott, and then a couple other of our friends at this point, we're only no longer the theory of 7 degrees of separation between everybody that really we need to know. It's like 2. We're down to like 2 steps of people. So if you need to know someone, friend us. We want to be the connector to someone that you may need to know. It may not even be Darren. It may be somebody that Darren knows. He just wants to be able to be another one of those connecting partners for you. Before we go, I want to hear some of the little nuggets that you want to leave with someone. And these would be great for people just to know. Like, sometimes I always ask, like, oh, what's your favorite quote or your favorite thing? Like, what are some of those nuggets that you want to share with people that you cannot leave without telling them?
Well, at the end of the day, your health is first. I know they say family first, but if you don't have your health, you really don't have your family. So really on a bit of a health journey at the moment, because I think if you've got good health, then you can, leave a legacy. I think at the end of the day, number 2 is family. Number 3 for me is legacy, being able to leave something behind. Why do we come here to this planet to do what we do and not leave something behind for the next generation? So legacy, I think, is really important. Thinking about what we're leaving behind when our time is up is important for me as well.
That's awesome. What would you say is some of the fears or the worries that you want to leave a piece of advice with somebody who's trying to decide what to do with their finances?
Yeah. Like anything, if you're going to start something new, this is the first thing I say to everyone. If you were going to start something new, what would you do? You would go get yourself a mentor or a coach. If you haven't done an area before, find out somebody who's done it before you so that you can take the easy road. There's 2 ways. There's an easy and a hard road. If you take the easy road, it ends up hard. If you take the hard road, which is finding a coach or somebody else, it leads to the easy road. The opposite. It's the 180-degree principle. If everyone's going one way, then it's best to run the other way, because that's where all the gold is. So I think if you're going to start something new, if you're on your digital assets journey, digital assets are new. They've been around 15 years. Reach out, find a mentor, someone, and it might be from afar, not necessarily you're contacting someone, but start watching the people who've got the experience around it, who you can learn from, and then take your time. If you're going to dabble into it, dabble into the investables to start with. Don't go into the meme coin garbage or the moon coins. And if you do decide to take the route of a moon coin, look for coins that have really good use cases that are going to be here in 5 or 10 years. They might be taking their time on their project to get it right, but their project, mightn't be heard of at the moment, but that there's good people behind it and they've got a good use case and they're going to make a difference with it.
Nice.
So hopefully that helps.
Absolutely. Last thing before we go, what is your website? That way everybody can go check it out and get you friended up on LinkedIn between us both.
Yeah, so do you want my personal website or just
whatever you want to leave with
99?
everybody who sees the show?
Yeah, cool. So if you want to check us out at Wealth99, you go to wealth99.com. On there, just click on Contact Us, and there's a little section in there under the specialists. You'll see me there under the list. There's about 4 or 5 of us. My website, darrenbartsch.com, is really just a collaborative list of some great knowledge, actually. If you're new to digital assets, actually, if you go there, darrenbartsch.com, and then scroll down, you'll see a whole plethora of information on places that you can start to learn about what's going on in the digital asset space, what's happening in the crypto space, and there's some great knowledge in there to help you.
Perfect. I love that you use the word plethora. I use that word so much and people make fun of me for it, but you used it perfectly. Nice. Well, of course, you guys know we'll have all this stuff in the show notes below. And if you're thinking, I can't find it, just come friend us. Send me a message and I will get you guys connected. If you don't know already, we're a big fan of the My Most Trusted with Scott Kundale. And he's also a local. He's over there in Australia. He's not living there right now, but we are huge fans because just one up everywhere you go. Just be able to plus one to add value to everybody's life. I'm so appreciative of you recording with me today and that we got to spread the word with what it is that you're doing. You are amazing. I'm so grateful for the time that you and I have gotten to spend together over the last several months. It's always fun to be able to catch up because I'm like ending my day and he's just starting his day. So we're on the opposite time zone. But then on top of that, I'm always a big fangirl being able to listen to any Australian talk in general. It was like a dream of mine to grow up and like move over there. And I never did. So I guess I caught up with it later in life, knowing I'm friending all of the people my favorite accent to talk to. So with that, thank you guys for dropping in. Thank you for another episode. We'll see you guys next time. And Darren, thank you for your time. And I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye, everybody.